Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Shout Out Saturdays in the Thrive Tribe. Today I'm very excited to have my friend Daryl Thiessen on the show, and he's just an inspiration to so many, so I know you're going to love this interview. So welcome, Daryl.
Thank you, Joelle. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, it's so good. So tell the Thrive Tribe a little bit about what you do for a living. What do you do, Daryl?
I work at the Kern County Superintendent of Schools office in Bakersfield, California. I've been there about 31 years.
Wow.
Started out as a classroom teacher and taught in special education. Loved that. Loved working with special needs students and their families. Became a program specialist in the SELPA office. And then for the last 21 years, I've been doing prevention-focused work as a prevention programs coordinator for the county superintendent of schools, and just love that work, working with Friday Night Live and working with counselors and social workers and administrators, and most importantly, working directly with students. I love that part of my job.
Well, and I see lots of posts about students. I want to ask about that, but you just flashed me back. Friday Night Live. I used to do stuff with Friday Night Live and Club Live, the middle school version.
Yes.
And Youth to Youth, and yeah, that's awesome. So tell me, you work with youth. You're at an event right now. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. It's actually called the Kern County Drug-Free Youth Summit. It's actually something we've been doing with Kern County Mental Health, Behavioral Health, now for a little over 21 years. And so basically it's bringing in Friday Night Live advisors and a team of students, Club Live students, as well as ones that are in what we call SWAT, Students Working Against Tobacco. It's a youth-focused tobacco prevention advocacy group. So there are about 150 students at Pacific Health Education Center today, and they're learning from their peers about projects they can do for Red Ribbon Week planning, some school-wide community-focused events to really address drug, alcohol, and tobacco use.
You know, there's so much power in youth leading youth, right? And you obviously know that because you have another group called Leaders in Life. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
I would love to. That's a huge passion. We're actually going to be celebrating our 20th year. So we like to say that it's a youth conference planned by teens, for teens. We have about 125 students on a general planning committee. They get nominated by their teachers, counselors, probation officers. It really is incredibly diverse. It's not your typical student leadership group. We go out of our way to make sure that those students who are in community schools that aren't necessarily involved and engaged, that they have a voice. And then we have a youth executive board of around 20 students, and they really help drive the planning for an event that occurs each year here in Bakersfield. And again, we're going to be celebrating our 20th anniversary. I jokingly say we're no longer going to be a teenager. So that'll be coming up in March on the 14th of 2019 for our 20th anniversary conference. We'll have about 2,100 students and adult advisors from all over Kern County and also the Central Valley and our region.
I think that's what keeps you young, Daryl, is that you're around all those kids who are highly energized and motivated to do good in the world, I think.
Exactly. In fact, I was just talking with one young man that was actually a student in my wife's class when she's a kindergarten teacher, and just electrifying personality of a young guy. So wonderful to have reconnected with him. My wife had mentioned him. You'll spot him. He'll stand out. He's got red hair, and my reason for saying is he was the first to volunteer in the group of 150 and share his spark. What is he passionate about doing? What does he want to do? And he wanted to make a difference in the community. And so he was the first to stand up, and I had to go over and introduce myself. So that really made my day.
You know, you're like famous, just so you know, in Bakersfield. Everybody knows you. And I just remember the first time I met you, I was doing a workshop in Anaheim at a conference. And I had shown some pictures in my PowerPoint of teachers in Kern. And afterwards you came up and introduced yourself, and you said, you know, there was a person that you showed in several pictures, and her name's Diane, and she was my student. And I was like, oh my gosh. And we took a selfie. But I just want you to know, this is a sidebar, but totally lots of people know you and love you. I hear that all the time.
Well, I appreciate that, and I feel very blessed. I think that this work has really allowed me to help really be a community builder, and again, that's it's a true honor. And Diane is one of many students that I'm honored to have had in my class. I taught a class for teacher credentialing for Point Loma University that Diane was in, along with a lot of other counselors and others around Kern, but also around the state. So I did that in Point Loma, down in Anaheim, and also down in goodness in San Bernardino County as well. So all over.
How fun. That is amazing. Okay, so Daryl, tell us a little bit about, you're very busy obviously at work, but tell us what your personal life is like. What do you do?
Well, I'm married. My wife and I just celebrated our 35th wedding anniversary. So that's a huge, huge part of my life, because we've actually known each other since we were kids. We went to the same church. Our families were good friends when I was in third grade. And then my family moved away. And we just saw each other at church camp, and all that to say that we met again in college. And now we've been married for 35 years, have two boys, Michael and Matthew, and our oldest is married and has a little daughter. She's 1 year old as of about 2 weeks ago, so she brings us all great joy. Her name is Nora, and she's just a bright spot in our lives. It's wonderful being a grandparent. We love that.
I definitely see the grandpa pride on your post with Nora. That's very cute. Nice. Now you're involved in an event coming up in October,
Yes.
the ALS Walk. Can you tell us why you're involved in that event and what people can learn about it?
Absolutely. So ALS is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Many people know it as Lou Gehrig's disease. It's a debilitating disease that takes away the muscle control, arms, legs, even your voice, eventually breathing. So what ALS Association does is has these walks to raise awareness and raise funds to really help find a cure and provide support groups and some wonderful connections. And it's a great part of our community that we have with ALS. I feel like it's been a blessing to have the support group. So on October 13th, we'll have an ALS walk here in Kern County. And last year we had about 130 team members out there on Daryl's Dedicated Defenders. It goes back to when I was a soccer coach at Bakersfield High School, and I was a defender in college and playing soccer. And so that's the name of the group, Daryl's Dedicated Defenders. And look forward to any support and just kind of awareness. I'll be honest with you, I think a lot of people have heard of the Ice Bucket Challenge, but they really don't know what ALS is about and how it impacts those who are suffering from this disease for which there is no cure. And so it's good to raise the awareness and wonderful to have community out there and see the support.
Absolutely. What else would you want them to know, to be aware of, that you can just share with our audience right now, who may be familiar with the Ice Bucket Challenge and know about Lou Gehrig's? And I know you shared a little bit. Is there anything else that might be helpful for them to know?
Well, I think one very interesting part of that is that many people who suffer from ALS eventually lose their voice. And so I've done some voice banking. And my reason for connecting that back to my work is the reason that we, for 20 years now, have had that youth conference is to give youth a voice. So to me, it's not an irony. I think it's an honor and a blessing to be involved in that. I think our activity that we've done has really raised up a wonderful group of leaders. We actually have two city councilmen who are here in Bakersfield who are Leaders in Life alumni, who go through a lot of leadership training and opportunities to really expand their skills. And we have others that are involved as doctors and lawyers and just, really building their community, because that's really the focus of that event. So the voice part is that I've done some voice banking so that eventually if I do lose my voice, it's just the muscle control aspect of that in terms of the voice. I wouldn't have a robotic voice. I'd be able to actually use a speech generated version of my own voice, so that if I say I love you to my family or my granddaughter or others. I can read books through a computer that would be my voice, not a generic robotic sounding voice. So
That's
that's
just amazing.
exciting.
I mean, technology is amazing, but just whoever, created that, right? With such the compassion behind it. Do you just, how does that even work to voice bank?
Yeah, it's all actually online through a model talker. It's through a website. And again, it's about 1,600 kind of common phrases that you basically repeat. And then when I say repeat, what it does is it gives you the prompt. And then it actually, as you speak that, you're recording that using a really good quality mic. It gives you a little bit of feedback. Is it being pronounced correctly? Is the speech too fast? If the rate is too fast, it gives you it's in the red or yellow. If it's all good, it's green. And so it gives you 3 indicators of quality. And if you want to get all green and go through those 1,600, and then it just increases the quality of the voice to be more natural sounding. So bottom line is it's all through that recording. Took several weeks, kind of an hour or 2 at a time to be able to record the voice and get through all 1,600 of those phrases in the green. And now I have a voice that I can type into that on a laptop anywhere I've got wireless device, and I can use my phone or a tablet, and it'll actually speak using my voice.
That is extraordinary. That's amazing. Daryl, when I think of you, I just think, you always come across so positive and just generous and compassionate. And I'm wondering, and also, like, I just think about, you mentioned that you played soccer and you used to run marathons, right? Like, I mean, so how do you keep, in dealing with this, terrible disease, what is your well-being strategies that you can offer to the Thrive Tribe for people who may not be dealing with ALS, but may have other things, challenges that they're dealing with? How do you stay so optimistic?
Yeah, my wife has these little chalkboards that we have in that home. And again, she's a kindergarten teacher. And so she changes those phrases every now and then. And so one, for example, was it's not about getting through the storm. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. And the other one is just about daily finding joy in every aspect of our life, and just how just following the Lord's plan in our life. So all that to say that that's one aspect, I think, in terms of positivity. For me, physically, since I'm no longer able to do the soccer or to do the marathon running, I have a 3-wheeled recumbent bike, and that's just been my outlet. I'm going to be actually riding in a ALS bike ride up in Napa to raise funds this weekend, this coming weekend. Not in 2 days, but coming up real soon. All that to say that and then reading books, some about education, some that have nothing to do with teaching, that just really inspires me and connects me back to this work that I see as a calling.
I love it. Let me explore that a little bit further. People are in education who may have different callings. What do you feel is your biggest purpose in education, and maybe the biggest strength that you bring?
Well, given that my work has historically over the last 21 years really focused on prevention, and again, the title is Prevention Programs Coordinator, I say half in jest that my job is to prevent programs, because it's about building relationships with kids and really having high expectations, carrying meaningful adult relationships, and really giving meaningful opportunities for young people to be involved. And again, that Leaders in Life activity, that Drug-Free Youth Summit that's going on right now as we speak, is a good example of what that looks like when we practice that. And again, I just feel blessed. That's my purpose. That's my role. And it's been an honor to be involved in that work now for a little over 21 years.
That's amazing. Okay, let me ask you this. What was the first, if you can remember both, that's great, but if you can just get one, what was the first concert you ever went to? And what was the last? And school band concerts don't count.
Wow. Went my first was going to a YES concert up in the Bay Area. My family lived in San Jose and went with a number of other high school friends up there, and so that dates me obviously. So was quite a while back. Most recent was let's see, Fleetwood Mac here in Bakersfield. Yeah, not
Yeah,
that many years ago. Saw a Fleetwood Mac at Rabobank Arena, so enjoyed that tremendously.
I love that. If you weren't in education, and I know that this is hard for you to even imagine since you've been in it so many years, but if you weren't in education, if that wasn't an option, what would you be doing?
Wow. You know, I always enjoyed history when I was studying in college and even in my graduate school programs. And I would say that, you know, it'd probably be writing about history, church history. So probably that type of area.
A historian.
Yes.
Yeah, I like it. All right. Let's see. I will think of another. What's the most interesting? It doesn't have to be the most exciting, but the most interesting place you've ever traveled to, or one of them. You may have many, but
Yeah, we've had a number of wonderful family trips. Probably the most memorable for my wife and I and our two boys, my mom and dad, and the whole family went on a river cruise through Europe. Started in Budapest, Hungary, and went along the Danube River all the way to the Main Canal and connected to the Rhine River, and then all the way to Amsterdam. So a good 17, 18 days. And it's like having your hotel float along with you as you go from city to city and see that history. And again, that was wonderful to be able to share that with our boys. In fact, a really funny quick story is my oldest son at that time was in junior high school and was doing some European history. And he shared with his history teacher when he was starting school about 3 weeks later that he had actually been at this place where Richard the Lionhearted was imprisoned. And the teacher, yeah, right, yeah, right. And he says, no, seriously. And he brought the pictures back the next day and had all the details of how he had actually been where he was imprisoned coming back from the Crusades. And the teacher was blown away. So
that's.
loved that trip.
I've been to Europe and I've been on a regular ocean cruise, but the river cruise is on my bucket list. I definitely I want to do that. I just think it seems like slower. It's more intimate, right? The boats are way smaller and yeah.
Sure is, exactly.
Okay, so here's a question that I ask everybody. So don't overthink it because what you say today may be different than what you would say next week or last week. But if you could teach the world just one thing, and granted, the world needs to know many, many lessons, but if they were going to learn one lesson from Daryl Thiessen, what would it be? What would you want to teach them?
I would want to teach them to find your own spark, find what you're passionate about, and make sure you live that out. And doesn't matter what you're doing for your employment, your work, but find that spark, whether it's music, whether it's service to others, whether it's working with animals, whether it's, you know, faith or other things. Just find that passion. We had some students share about that today at the Drug Free Summit. And I think it's just so essential that we encourage each other as educators to really find that spark and not forget that that's really what keeps us going back, is that it really, that's that well that we've got to go back to when we maybe have some tough days, and we need to remember that spark and make sure we're not ignoring that self-care and that what is it that we're passionate about. And that could be reading or gardening or, like I said, some involvement in the community and what we're doing for advocacy. Doesn't matter. The key is to make sure that you find your spark and then help kids find their own. So I think that's what's going to motivate and inspire and challenge kids to be a better part of their school community as well.
Absolutely. And there's so much research about having a sense of purpose and a sense of engagement with life as well as work, how that contributes to well-being, to
Exactly.
student engagement, to employee engagement. And I don't know that we spend enough time really diving in there. So, we'll be on a mission to change that, Daryl.
Love it.
All right, now comes the scary part where you get to ask me a question that I don't, well, hopefully I know the answer, but I don't know what's coming. So do you have one question for me, Daryl?
I sure do. Here goes. So tell me, Joel, who's your mentor? Who's the person that if you were to say one person that just comes right to your mind really quick, who inspired you, challenged you, and helped kind of pull you into the position you are right now?
Wow, that's a great question. I'm going to say a person and an organization. So I would say, and this is funny because we were just talking about her, that really Kathy Estes was, I wanted to grow up and be her. So I was a teacher and she was working at the county office. And I wanted to do I wanted to do what she did. And that's why I got an admin credential. I'd never wanted to be an administrator. I just wanted to be Kathy and go around and play with kids and adults. And like, to me, it's not really work. I mean, it is hard work, just so you know, it's hard work, but it's also just super rewarding. And then I got my admin credential, kind of got, you know, life took me a different direction so that I could have more stories, right? I became an assistant principal and a principal. But I just loved that she was authentic. She was herself. She didn't try to put on any airs or try to be, you know, anything. She just was her and natural. And I feel like that's what I've tried to model, to just be authentic. And this is who I am. And I don't have all the answers, but I'm a really good resource finder. So I'll find the answer. So definitely Kathy. And she doesn't even know that. So Kathy, I'm going to have to make sure you watch this video. And then I would say, as far as the work that I've really been into the last, I don't know, 10 years, really around a meaningful life and well-being, from the Greater Good Science Center. It's a nonprofit out of UC Berkeley. And I have been just obsessed with all the stuff they put out. It's so much science about a meaningful life. So science about gratitude and forgiveness and empathy and compassion, why it's good for you. I mean, we all know it's good, right? But something shifts in people when they hear that it really is scientifically good for you. And about 4 years ago, I got to go to the Greater Good Science Center's Summer Institute for Educators. And, you know, for me, it was like a revival camp. I was like, amen, you know, like, yay, this is my stuff. And I just feel like, I'm their ambassador. They don't know I exist, but, you know, I just really love their work, and it has influenced everything that I do. So
I love it. That's wonderful. It's wonderful on several levels. One is that Kathy Estes is a good friend and a dear friend. So that's tremendous.
Yeah, it's fun. I'll have to tell her. I think I have to call her right now.
Yes.
All right. Well, Daryl, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to put links to all of your good stuff, to the ALS Walk, to the Leaders Alive. And just so you know, you don't have to live in Bakersfield to help support Daryl. So you can send money, you can sponsor someone. And so I want you to look at that link and really think about it, because we do want to do everything we can to find out about this disease and to try and find the cure. So thank you so much. I know you're so busy, Daryl, and you have to go off and play with kids some more today.
Yeah, love it.
All right, for the rest of you, I want to interview you. So please don't be shy. We need to know each other's stories. That's how we build belonging and connection. Have a great rest of your Saturday. I'll see you later. Bye.